Hello students. In our earlier lecture we have discussed about the stages that are involved in the organization of a conference. Now our next point of discussion is what are the advantages of conference. If conference is a group communication, it is aimed with certain aims and objectives. It is organized to fulfill certain areas or concerns. If the problems are to be studied, what are the problems that we see here? Are the problems that we see. So, like this, there are so many advantages of conference, and this point that we are going to discuss today. The conference, as we have seen, so many people or expertise comes together. They discuss among themselves the issues and concerns that are relevant to them. They discusses with the problems to analyze in greater detail, and for that they share their knowledge, views, as well as practical experiences, and that helps the organization to exchange ideas and opinions. So conference is successful in stimulating some kind of new ideas as the participants and delegates brings their knowledge, and that these deliberations helps others to get the proper study of the problem. So this is the advantage that we see. It's another in-depth study of problem. Of course, when discussion is going on, the point of the issues or the problems are analyzed in greater detail. The discussion of the participants helps therefore in succeeding in highlighting the different facets of the problem. Industrial houses, for example, hold the conference to make recommendations, and that we see are reflected the uh, in the government. Suppose the views and opinions that are gathered, reports that are gathered, helps the union minister to present the finance minister to present the budget, and that we have seen in the recently given budget. So this is what we see. Next is training in analytic approach. Conferences provide valuable opportunity for the participants to learn how to analyze the situation, how to analyze the problem in a systematic way, how we have to go, what are the options that are available, how to pool the intellectual resources, and how to earn and where it is required the experience to brings us, and accordingly can take the measures for the future course of action. And this is the way we have seen the training in analytic approach. Two-way communication. Conferences offer a good platform for face-to-face communication and conversation, because it's not the expertise who speaks, but the other questions and problems are also discussed. It's a discussion based platform, and that is what it's a two-way communication. As well as there is a feedback, and this system creates a kind of a good discussion mode. Of course, there is a scope as the conferences are for 2-3 days or more than 3 or 4 days. So there is enough opportunity for the topics and for the discussion. The subjects may be discussed in greater detail where it is needed. So increase in employees' motivation is another, because it gives an outlet to the feelings and emotions. The result of the motivating employees, since employees are given a chance to participate and exchange their views, so it helps in increasing the motivation, employee motivation. Sharpened communication skill is one of the advantage that we see. So conferences definitely brings us the practice, and repeatedly participation increases their good communication skills. Face to face communication is also one of the way in which we can see we have seen the communication skills gets improved. It's personal observations, the discussion sharpens, the speaking and the oracular skills. Next is provide feedback. As we have seen, the participants of various organizations can get the good feedback or bad feedback through the talk and meet. If they find it the feedback is worse or going on the another way, we can take a recuperative measures. ज्या चुका असतील त्या दुरुस्त करण्यासाठी काहीतरी उपाययोजना व्यावसायिक संघटनांना करता येते. फीडबॅकच्या माध्यमातून ह्या गोष्टी साध्य होत असतात. So this is the way which we can take into account the advantages of conferences. Then disadvantages. The other side of the conference is what we have. If the advantages are not going or not working in the proper direction, then the conference organization turns into a disadvantage. And this disadvantage creates a huge problem when the conference is not useful. When conferences are held on a larger scale, they prove to be very highly expensive. Elaborate arrangements for the participants for adequate space for participants' physical needs become too heavy for the responsibility, and also it's a big expenses, large types of expenses that needs big amounts are spent. Such a results of such a big conferences are not always fruitful. सगळ्याच कॉन्फरन्सेस यशस्वी होतात असं नाही. अशा वेळेस मोठा खर्चाचा प्रश्न निर्माण होतो आणि आपल्याला जस्टिफाय करता येत नाही का आपला हा खर्चच झालेला आहे. काही कॉन्फरन्सेस हे चेअरमनच्या स्किलवर अवलंबून असतात. इट्स अ साईड ट्रॅकिंग ऑफ द प्रॉब्लेम. इफ द चेअरमन इज नॉट डायरेक्टिंग द डिस्कशन फ्रुटफुली इन अ पर्टिक्युलर डायरेक्शन, योग्य दिशेने कॉन्फरन्सची चर्चा जर होत नसेल तर मुख्य चर्चेचा विषय बाजूला राहतो, विषयांतर होतं. Many a time the conference chairman has to give a chance to all members. But this discussion goes the other way. So the specific problem gets sidetracked. It reflects badly on the management. Employees may get a feeling that the management hold the conference because it finds it difficult to arrive at a decision as its own. Employees thus are left with a poor impression about the management. Frustration if the discussion at a conference does not fall within the field of participants' experience. They cannot participate in the discussion and therefore there is a frustration. No, group communication is one of the way in which the few participants are found to be vocal at conferences. Such a vocal participants dominate the discussion. So conference failed to be an exchange of views and ideas in the real sense of the term. Ineffective chairman. If conferences are badly chaired, they complicate the issues instead of solving them. Much therefore depends on the personality of the chairman who conducts the conference. Indifferent delegates. Some delegates may treat their participation in conferences as a pleasure trip. They never take conferences seriously and it's a waste of time to attend such conferences. So like this we have this as disadvantages. But these disadvantages should not, these disadvantages should not turn into disadvantage. The chairman has to take some measures. It depends on the duties and responsibilities of the good chairman. So the chairman who has to direct the conference and he has to see the total achievement of good things. He needs to be careful, or he or she needs to be very careful about the ability. So he should determine these so called views. So, good chairman who would conduct a conference with competence must take into consideration the guidelines. And if he follows these guidelines as said to be a good chairman, and such conferences will be good conference. Be punctual. The chairman must observe that punctuality is the ethic rule of law. He must proceed without any delay. He must think the participants who are present. It should start and well end with. At the same time, should begin with good time framework and completed within the time frame. Define the purpose. The chairman must clearly define the purpose of the conference in his opening remarks. Though the agenda is supposed to have been circulated among the participants, it is necessary for the chairman to redefine the purpose when he delivers the inaugural speech and initiates the discussion. Positive approach. The chairman must begin with the positive approach. Opening remarks set the tone and give the direction to the discussion of the meeting. The chairman should make the participants feel that they have come for a specific purpose, that they shall make a distinct contribution to the realization of that purpose. Be brief. The chairman's opening remarks should be brief. The chairman should take just a minute or two to present the problem. The short opening suggests the urgency of the problem. Long drawn openings make participants indifferent. So, be brief is the rule of the law. Initiate the discussion. The chairman's opening remarks are often should be followed by general reluctance on the part of the members to speak. The chairman should not plunge into this silence. It is not desirable for the chairman to give suggestions. Thus, draw the participants to his way of thinking. So, he is there to initiate the discussion. Notice the hidden agenda. As we have seen, the chairman should be able to steer the formal agenda and at the same time, in other words, if some of the members are heading something and tries to propose a hidden agenda he wished and the other members are supporting him, but this group is falling apart, he should be able to know the feelings and emotions, less fears and doubts of the delegates. The chairman must have tact, humor, and sense of timing of cut short relevant discussion. Have an open mind. The chairman must have an open mind, have the maturity and wisdom to learn different points of view. He should make an effort to suppress conflicting views. Tact and confidence. Chairman must have the tact and confidence to restrain the members who talk too much. He should see to it that every participant gets a chance to express his views. So, tact and confidence is to be applied. Allow the discussion to progress. If the good discussion is going on, progressing in the right direction, now the discussion should be progressed because such a good discussion brings us good results. Play a positive role. This is one of the say quality. The chairman should play a very positive role, asking questions, giving participants to give details, defining words that could be misinterpreted, asking participants to elaborate certain points and rephrase statements which may not be clear. At the end, the conference, the participants and the chairman should bring the reports from the leaders. This can give the satisfaction that something positive has been achieved. point of conflicting viewpoints should be noted out. We have to convince the participants to follow up. So, how decisions arrived at should be followed. At the same time, the chairman need to see that the conference should not end abruptly. It should conclude. It should not be rushing through some of the points at the end. As far as possible, the chairman should see that conference ends with stipulated time, for that helps the chairman to leave a good impression on the participants. So, by this, the chairman will work in organizing a good conference. So, with these words, the conference, this topic comes to an end. In our next lecture, we are going to see the committee as a part of group communication further on. By then, thank you.